Well, folks, here again for the weekly forecast. During this last week, of course, the big news was the very nice warm temperatures, what we would call our January thaw. Unfortunately, my forecast last week was a little bit terrible in terms of the temperature forecast. I was using the GFS, and it was pulling in much colder air than the other models that are commonly used, and you pay the piper. Sometimes you're wrong in the temperatures, but the overall trend was right there. Warm and dry was the name of the game. Nothing in the way of significant moisture. The main system that we paid attention to this week was the one that moved through the southern plains, brought heavy snowfall to portions of Texas, Oklahoma, southern Colorado, and that storm system moved through the southeast and now is expected to move up the eastern seaboard and generate a fairly significant weather maker for the northeastern United States during this weekend. More importantly for us, we're looking at warm conditions continuing at least into the middle of next week before we start to see a gradual cool down. And unfortunately, we don't see any signs of significant moisture until at least the end of this model period. So let's take a look at the upper air pattern and see what we might expect. Of course, here we have the troughing pattern across the northeastern United States, a system that essentially had moved through the southern plains, has now moved up the eastern seaboard, and that's what we're seeing right here with this trough is an aggressive storm system, but more importantly, here's our ridge starting to build back in, bringing the warmer temperatures into our region. Coolest conditions will be in the northeast, closer to this main flow pattern. If the GFS model is correct, we're going to be looking at much cooler conditions in northeast Nebraska and the remainder of the state. If it's wrong, add 5 degrees to whatever forecast you see for our lowest high temperatures during this period because they're all confined to the northeast. But overall, warmer conditions will build in statewide as we go through the weekend. And by Saturday, we start to see the western part of the state jumping up well into the 50s. The eastern part of the state will be sandwiched between this low pressure system to our east, so the winds will be up, but certainly temperatures are going to be rather enjoyable. Easily from the mid-40s in eastern Nebraska to the low 50s will be common. Now as we get into Monday, we start to see this ridge really encroaching our region, so we're looking at mid-50s to mid-60s across the western part of the state, mid-50s southeast, and up in northeast Nebraska, low 50s. Now as we go into Tuesday, the ridge is centered right over the center part of the country, warmest temperatures of the period. We could easily see temperatures in the 60 to 65 degree range in the southwestern portions of the southern panhandle. Further east, we'll be looking at mid-50s, and then things start to fall apart on Wednesday as a quick moving trough comes across the northern plains. Not much in the way of any moisture associated with this. A few sprinkles or scattered flurries might be possible during the evening hours, but overall we're looking at more clouds than anything else. This will slip rapidly by. That's going to drop our temperatures about 5 to 10 degrees. The coldest temperature will be across the northern part of the state, but by Thursday, we'll start to see that ridge start to re-energize itself northward. We start to see some troughing action moving in the western United States, and by Friday, that is starting to move into the central Rockies to some extent. More importantly, as we get into Saturday and Sunday, this system is expected to jack out in the plains and cause some significant snowfall. As we look at our temperature forecast, warm conditions through midweek and then cooling down with that snow coming into the picture next Friday to Saturday. In terms of temperatures, we're looking at colder temperatures from next Thursday through the following Tuesday, and precipitation with that storm coming out looks to be above normal through the entire High Plains region.